Hey everyone, my name is Steven with Kirby Woodworking, and in this video I'm going to show you how I go about making my custom designs for my guitars using Bluebeam Revu software. Now, Bluebeam Revu is a PDF viewer. It's relatively inexpensive, approximately $300 a year Canadian, but what it allows you to do is to import scaled images into your viewer, and then you can actually adjust the sizing based off of those scaled images. Now, I'm not sure about everybody else, but when I design my guitar body designs, I have difficulty drawing them in a large scale. There's not a lot of forgiveness in there. It's difficult to make those large sweeps. I work better off of making smaller images in my design workbook, and you can see a couple examples over here, and exporting those images where I can refine them later on. So to get started, I'm going to take one of the images I like in those drawings, and I'm actually going to scan it on any typical scanner, and then I'm going to export it into Bluebeam and isolate that image. So for my most up-to-date design, I'm actually going to be making a heavy metal inspired guitar. You can see I have large flanges on either side, along with a mace-like pattern on the opposing angles. Now, this is a good design to have in a smaller image. It allowed me to make my changes relatively smoothly and comfortably, but when you start to blow it up, you'll see inconsistencies. An example of that is this sweep over here. It is not very consistent. But as I mentioned before, this is only the first revision. I now need to export this smaller image into a larger image, and then I'm able to make those large gradual sweeps and have a more refined design. So how do I know how large to create this guitar head? Like, it's just a sketch for the time being. There's no scale attached to it. I'm actually going to be using a software online that you can get for free. It's called ekips.org, and it allows you to make a custom fretboard design, whether it's straight or multi-scale. You can make those adjustments, and it will automatically export a PDF image to scale. Now, in this whole design process, there's only one scale I am worried about, which is this fretboard. So what I can now do is I'm going to isolate that image. I'm going to press G in Bluebeam software. I'm going to highlight that area, and then I'm actually going to go and paste it. Just a standard paste. And now on the larger format, which is 36 by 48 A0 type, which is your plot printing size, I now have a 2-scale image of that fretboard. So to make it fit within the page, I'm going to flip it 90 degrees. And then I'm going to go back, and once again, on the image I selected earlier, I'm going to press G, and I'm going to highlight the section I want to bring over. And I'm going to paste it in place. Now, as we mentioned before, this is not the scale currently, but what this software allows you to do relatively easily is get the image and make it bigger. So now I can start to overlay it. I can start to play with the image to make it look consistent with the fretboard I know is at scale. I know I need to keep that dimension. So I'll expand it until it overlaps nicely. And I'm going to decide on this being my rough final orientation. Now, on top of that, I also have a headstock design. I don't know what the headstock was going to look like until you actually see the guitar head and the fretboard together. It's very difficult to imagine what that final piece will look like. But what I did notice is this sweep I have on each opposing side of the guitar body will look pretty nice on top. So what I can do, once again, I'm going to press G, and I'm going to isolate this curvature. And I'm going to paste that on top. I'm going to adjust the angle. I can do rough adjustments on the side, or I can click this gear on the outside, and I can start to adjust the rotation as well. And now I'm going to keep it in this rough orientation. Now I have the overall design of my guitar. The most important thing here is to make sure that I can still refine my design further. So for the opacity, rather than keeping it at 100%, I can actually lower the image. So I have like we'll call it a template design, but I can now print it off on the final page, and I can start to refine those sweeps in more detail for both the guitar body and the headstock. As I mentioned before, the fretboard is written in stone. We cannot adjust that if we want to have a nice sounding guitar. On top of this, you can also finalize your bridge location. If you're going to take your intonation measurements, you can actually draw a line to your 12th fret, double that up, and now you can have a good reference point of where your bridge on your guitar body needs to be located. So this is the very first step of my design. If you want to see how I go about putting this from paper to the final guitar, please be sure to subscribe to my channel, and then I'll be posting regular updates and episodes on the progress I am making. Thank you very much.